that leads us to, if anyone has a question either about the journey that I made through from having anorexia to being healthy, or from being a storyteller and what that's like, or you could even write it on a piece of paper and pass it forward, like those awesome notes you did in primary school. If you wanted to go to the dance, check yes, and then you pass it forward.
What are the places you visited around the world?
What are the places I visited around the world? I have, well, quick part of that story, in 2005, I made kind of a crazy choice, and I sold my small house and all my stuff, and I started a volunteer project in Belize, a literacy project in Central America. So I lived there for almost a year, and then traveled back and forth. I've been to Guatemala, Mexico, did a storytelling festival in Colombia, been to Peru, been to Ecuador, and then I've done performances in London, Paris, Berlin, Naples, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Utrecht, which is near Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I did a storytelling festival in Kenya, and I spent a month in Ghana, and I've been to Haiti twice, been to Spain twice, and Ireland, because I'm half Irish, and Scotland. I think that's everything. And I did not start traveling until I was 37. Booyah! Made up for lost time. And I also find work in places that I want to go, and I take a risk and I audition. The way I ended up in Kenya, I auditioned for a storytelling festival 2 years ago thinking there's no way that they're going to hire me. And they're like, oh my gosh, we love your work, come to Kenya. Yay. Same with London. I auditioned for a group of entrepreneurs and they asked me to come in and teach entrepreneurs how to tell their story. Yes?
How many languages do you speak?
That's the embarrassing part, 1.5. 1.5 languages, yes, it should be more.
How do you get invited to take a TED Talk, or give a TED Talk?
How do you get invited? Well, this is another crazy thing I did. So in 2012, I auditioned for, they had a talent search worldwide, and they were doing TED Talks in 14 countries, and on a whim, I sent in an audition about blowing bubbles on the New York City subway. But they chose it, and then I was invited to do a 5-minute TED in New York City as part of a bigger audition. And they chose 30 people in each country, and I represented the United States. So don't ever let anyone tell you that something you're doing is foolish or stupid if it feels right for you and it's not hurting anybody.
I'm in Dr. Johnson's class, and I gotta write a 2-page paper, and you don't seem like a storyteller to me. How come you call yourself a storyteller?
That is a great question, because storytelling is not only about folk tales. Storytelling is about sharing real-life stories, and a big portion of the work that I do is actually serving others through story. So the work that I did in Kenya, Ghana, and Haiti was actually helping people. I like to use the word serve instead, because helping creates kind of an imbalance. I was traveling throughout both of those countries and interviewing artists and entrepreneurs, educators, scientists, innovators, students, teachers, to try to break stereotypes and really highlight the potential and possibility that exists in the developing world, because often the only thing people are seeing is poverty. And then the reaction to the poverty is to pity, and that does not serve anyone. So our goal is actually to highlight all this potential and change people's opinions about the developing world and really show all this amazing innovation that's happening. So storytelling can be used in a lot of different ways. Many medical schools now are including storytelling for the medical students so that they can better capture the patient's history and really understand where these symptoms and illnesses are coming from. Corporations are now using storytelling. A friend of mine is now the CEO of storytelling for Toyota. Many of the larger companies, Citibank has a storyteller, so it is becoming more and more prevalent as people are seeing the value. Every single one of you in this room has a story. You have the story of your family, you have the story of your culture, you have the story of where you grew up, you have the story of your identity, you have the story of relationships, and those are really powerful. Last year was the first time I started sharing my story about being anorexic and what that journey was like, and I can't tell you how many people ended up speaking to me afterwards, and it somehow helped people. My whole goal is building bridges between through story, and then also whatever I can offer someone from my own life experience, if that can help someone, awesome. So that was a great question. So storytelling is about a lot more than sharing folk tales. Most of the work I do is about building bridges between peoples and cultures, between ages, between genders, between politics and religion. It really is about how do we connect to each other through the experiences that we face through our lives, and how can we serve each other through the experiences that we've had. So one of the projects I work on is actually interviewing people in the developing world and collecting their real-life stories, artists and educators, innovators, students, activists, teachers, scientists, and the whole idea behind those stories is really to break stereotypes and to break the pity-poverty model and focus on potential and possibility, because everyone has potential. The other thing is every single person in this room has a story. You have the story of your culture, you have the story of your country, the town you live in, where you grew up, your family is a culture, your experience here at Kutztown is a culture, is a story. So remembering that, and remembering that there's great power in story, there's great power and there's great responsibility and there's great healing and helping that comes out of sharing our story.
How did you get started as a storyteller?
How did I get started? I studied speech and theater here at Kutztown University. Yes. And I always had a passion for story. One of the Orland Turk, we did Reader's Theater, which was about using current events and issues and creating performances out of them. And that impacted me really deeply. And then I kind of went on a circuitous route. I did a year of graduate study at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill in performance. And after that, I ended up working in women's health, in clinics for underserved women. It was another passion that I had. So it was a really kind of circuitous route until I did cancer research, and the number one most helpful question in the cancer study, out of 64 pages, was the only open one. Tell the story of how you were diagnosed. And they gained most information. That impacted. Fell into a job totally by accident as a children's librarian. Loved it. Did that for 8 years, and the storytelling, becoming a storyteller grew out of that. I went home one night and Googled Storyteller and storytelling and found you could actually have a job. There's an international network. It took me a year of putting programs together, word of mouth, gaining all these gigs all over the place, and then I quit my job, and a month later I sold my house and became a full-time storyteller, and the volunteer project at Belize happened at the same time. So I will admit to you, I do not have the biggest bank account, but damn am I happy. And I'm fulfilled, yes. Oh, thank you. Wait, and in case anybody wants to follow me, that's my info, you can follow me anywhere. So I saw him, yes.
What do you think has been your favorite storytelling experience?
Oh my gosh. Oh wow, that's so hard. My favorite storytelling experience. I would say it's a toss-up between two, one that just happened. I was just in Romania. I did a storytelling festival in Romania. The hospitality there was phenomenal. But for scenery, for storytelling, there's nothing that beats being on the Great Rift outside of Nairobi, Kenya. And you look down over the Great Rift and there's a herd of zebras running past. And then there's gazelles. And then in the distance you see giraffes. That's a pretty awesome backdrop. That was a pretty cool experience. And as for my own heart being touched by storytelling, I would say one of my favorite storytellers, you should look her up if you don't know her, is Elizabeth Ellis. I have taken classes with her. One thing that happened with her was I was down in Tennessee for a month absorbing 24/7 story, and she was teaching a class. And I said, Elizabeth, may I come to your class? And in her beautiful voice, she said, Kristen, I was hoping you'd come and guest lecture for my class. You've got a lot of beautiful experiences to share. I think they might learn something. And my eyes, Elizabeth Ellis asked me to present at her class, I almost fell over. She's one of the most beautiful people on the planet. Just Google her and follow her, and she's fabulous. She's wonderful. So thanks for coming out. For those who came twice today, attended the sessions twice, thank you so much for taking so much time out of your day. Feel free to follow me. And if you want the notes, I will email them, and if anyone wants a free hug, I've got my sign.
This is great. I'm gonna take a picture. Awesome. Hi. glad you enjoyed it. Thanks. Hey, have a great day. Oh,
you're right, hon.
Being here twice. Thank you. Lego. Thank you so much.
Lego.
Thanks for coming by. Thank you. You too. Thanks for being here twice. Thank you. Hi. Your hair is adorable, by the way.
Wow.
Thank you. Hi. It's good to see you too. Thank you. Thanks.
Yay. All right, Steph.
Yes, Dad.
There's a line over here.
Oh, that's what Thank you. Thank you.
Line former.
Sorry, she made her own line.
I made a bee.
Thank you. Have a great day.